So with our gorgeous Mr. Ethan, ready, sir? We were just doing some awesome play with the flirt pole and with the handheld toy as well. So we're going to do a little bit with hopefully some of our loose leash walking. So I know you mentioned that you'd really love it if we could work on the collar, and that's perfectly fine as long as, for example, he's able to not be jostling himself a whole bunch. So I was going to try and do a little down with him, but he's thinking about it. So remember too that, again, he's panting because he was just playing. So I swear there we go. Nice job. He's getting into a really nice groove with the day school program. So he's like, there's even more toys over here. Those are the ones that are for sale, sir. Ready? So if I lose Mr. E to the environment, ready, Ethan? Right here, nice little name recognition. Good job, sir. So with working with our beauty on his leash practice, you can work in a collar. I just would recommend that if you finding that he's doing a lot of pulling and yanking and darting, the reason I sometimes recommend the body harness is while he's learning, he's not then getting all the brunt to his neck. Oh, sorry about touching the mic. So let's say, for example, we're going to work a little bit with loose leash walking. Obviously, I know that we were doing a little bit earlier where you were practicing being next to him and working a little bit where he was next to you, and we did a little bit of practice that way and showing him how to go with luring him for the beginning stages. The other thing I wanted to touch base on, he's like, lady, I am exhausted. Ready? When you little find it, is working a bit with leash pressure. So leash pressure, for example, ready, Ethan? Is working on your pup and getting him comfortable that when he feels the pressure of the lead, and I'm almost wondering if he wants to go for a little potty break real quick. So, and maybe we'll come right back. But leash pressure, if I could speak today, is not going to be the same. He can relax for a moment while we're blabbing. So leash pressure is not a leash pop. It's not a leash correction. So there will be other methods out there that I feel are outdated. They're not worth it. It causes more confusion and discomfort for the dog. So remember, since dogs are amoral, they don't know right or wrong. Trying to tell the dog that pulling is what's giving you the pop or the yank back typically just teaches your dog that sometimes you get scary on walks, or it teaches them to blow through pressure. So what I mean by that is he's like, boy, he's got to catch his breath. All that play with the flirt pole just pooped him out. So I'm just going to drop the leash. You can hang out with us for a second. So leash pressure consists of when your pup gets to the end of the gear, be it the long lead or a shorter leash, and there's pressure. Most dogs, when they feel pressure with any piece of equipment, so I don't care if it's collar, his harness, or whatever, if there's pressure and then pressure equals blow through it and keep pulling to go to the next thing to smell, to go to the next thing to go explore, to go outside the door, you pull through the doorway. Pulling is what's reinforcing pulling. So if we're looking to gear to stop a behavior, it's more than likely not going to work, or it's not going to work for long. So what I mean by that is a lot of times we're looking for the tool to magically stop the pulling, but without teaching the dog that loose leash walking consists of certain steps that then could be reinforced. So if going out on a walk, we have no way to reinforce the dog other than, for example, he only wants to sniff and explore, it's very hard to feed for being soft next to you if the environment is more stimulating than we are to the dog. So I would highly recommend start in and around your yard and home front, where hopefully the environment distraction-wise is a little bit softer, than going for the real world walk where things are much more distracting or difficult. So for Mr. E, he's like, lady, I might be so tired, I may not be able to function. So he's been doing a good job all throughout this day. So with the handsome guy, let's say leash pressure would be something we want to practice. This does not mean that as your dog is walking, you pull back and keep walking forward. So what I see a lot of times is people are walking, the dog pulls ahead, they yank back and they keep walking. They yank back and they keep walking. The problem with that is, imagine someone was trying to tell you something and they're tapping you on the shoulder, and again, they're tapping, you turn and look at them and they say nothing again. You're like, what the heck? They again go back to tapping on the shoulder. You're going to either start to get a little annoyed, or you're just going to start to ignore them because they never tell you what they'd like. So for the handsome guy, if we're always yanking back and still walking, we're just teaching him to blow through his equipment, or pulling equals more fun. So we want to make sure that if he pulls, we stop, and then we might pivot and turn and go the opposite direction. So this is where learning what loose leash walking is in the first place, really helpful with feeding by the leg. But then as your dog gets more comfortable, he's so tired. Obviously, he's a huge flirt pole fan, so he's winded, but it might be something up his alley for later. So let's say we would practice with leash pressure. I'm going to explain and give him a little breather so he can catch his breath, and then be able to see if we can practice a little bit with leash pressure. So this would never be you walking and pulling back, but this would be, let's say he's walking next to you, he pulls a little bit ahead of you and there's tension. We would want to practice before that step, having the dog in front of us, have the leash on, and when we pull it ever so slightly, it should be, again, very light. It shouldn't be where you're swiffering your dog across the floor. I'm not a fan of leash pops or corrections. So your pup would be in front of you. You would pull ever so slightly. The puppy notices you with the tension. You feed for that as they move into your space. So this way, your dog is being reinforced for when they feel the tap on the shoulder and they're like, yes, what would you like? You're like, hey, could you try this? And you're helping them through the situation versus nagging and never telling them what you want. So let's say, for example, and I don't know, he's maybe tired, but I'm going to see if I can get Mr. Handsome. He's like, lady, my brain has melted. So ready? We'll see if we can do another little find it. He's like, hot dogs still don't even seem that cool. So if, let's say, for example, he is tired, remember, you do want to keep your criteria within their ability. So obviously, as we're practicing, this is his first day here. I'm not expecting perfection. I just want to see if we can get a little bit of some focus. So let's say my dog is now going to be in front of me. I'm going to go ahead, and while he's like, nope, I'm about to lay, oh, so tired. He's like, lady, I'm winded. So I have done leash pressure videos with a few other friends. Obviously, Great Pyrenees, at times, there's only so many windows for practice. So if for today, his first rodeo was a few find-its and obviously the flirt pole fun, that's a great start. So, but we have him up, so I'm going to do a little pull and feed. A little pull and feed. So you shouldn't be changing his, again, his position in the sense of comfort range. So right here, I'm just going to do a little, and I have my little frog. I don't know if you guys can hear him, but I have so many different friends here. We've got crickets and frogs. So I'm going to do a little pull and feed. So what this looks like, it shouldn't be where your dog is getting jostled. So, but then when he feels pressure, nice. He's like, nope, I'm done. Is you'd want to make it where if he's a little tired, is you start off with the puppy, you saw a little bit with him, and I can maybe even try this with another friend so everybody can kind of see what I'm talking about. I do have previous videos of leash pressure as well, so feel free to look around. If you have trouble, let me know and I can find them for you too. So this again, I know he's tired because we did so much good play. Should have done play at the end. Silly me for playing first and then trying to do the loose leash walking. So let's say your puppy's in front of you. You're going to have your lead. You would do a little pull with the leash and then feed. A little pull with a leash and feed. This shouldn't look like resistance from him though. So if the pressure is so severe or the pressure is overwhelming for him, don't start with the leash quite yet, but do a bit with front. So I know we did fronts earlier with Mr. A. He says, good night, have a great day. So with Mr. A, we did fronts and we did side or finish and we did U-turns. That video might be good to sort of see how to do a front. Front would not involve a leash pull at all with any pressure, but it gets your puppy in this concept of being able to move into your space, which could be helpful. So for Mr. Handsome, you would in the beginning, maybe you walk a few fronts, getting him in the groove of coming into your space, wonderful. Then from there with the leash on, we practice pulling a teeny bit and we feed for moving into our space. The way this would look down the road, and we're going to work on this anyway, so don't worry if he doesn't perform it today, is you would have your babe near you. He would, let's say we're walking and he starts to pull ahead. You would stop. He feels the pressure. When he feels it, you're looking for him to be like, wait a minute, what does mom want or what does she need? And he'll do a little U-turn and head back to you almost as a front position. So if, let's say, he's a bit winded from all that fun play, we'll do a few other little skills with him in just a moment. I'll maybe give him a little break, and then I'll see if I could do a little bit with this leash pressure after he gets a little recess, and we'll rotate through some friends. So, but for play, you might find, use your play first, get some great energy, some focus, some check-ins, some on-off, and then take him maybe for that harder, not hard where he's not going to do well, but that more challenging walk then after he's done some of this. So I find sometimes expending some energy through the play, like the flirt pole, and then try a little leisurely walk in your neighborhood. That might go even more beautifully than starting with the walk first. Because sometimes it's almost like warming up or stretching before you go do your routine, be it your run or your exercises. So then you're already mentally and physically have worked him. So now he's softer going into that new space. So that could be a great venue for Mr. Handsome. But we'll give Mr. E a little breather from this skill, and then we'll try a little bit with the leash pressure again and maybe a little bit. And if he doesn't rock it today, there's always next week. So don't worry, we're going to keep diving into more of these skills. He says, lady, I need to take a break. And then we're going to work again another one of our beauties and rotate. But Mr. E did a very nice job for his first day at day school.